Podcast starting. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode here at the Kickpod podcast. The Kickpod podcast, the inspirational dojo of inspirational martial arts talk. Yeah, sorry about everybody. I'm just waking up, so yeah, just trying to get myself woken up. But I'm here. I'm ready to do this podcast. Of course, this is my yet episode 102. And I am your host, TJ Williams, give you the insider of my martial arts journey, discussing and analyzing martial arts based subjects, and highlighting martial artists all around the world, past, present, and future. All right, so before we get this episode kicked off, of course, for those who are just joining, this is a pre recorded episode. So, what I talk about now will either done past or it's coming up. But yet, I am still in Las Vegas. I'm attending the UFAF ITC. Yeah, this today's the last day, and of course, I had a credible week. Yeah, doing seminars and of course competing. And last night I went to the gala. We have an awards ceremony, so of course I was nominated for most inspirational, and yet I didn't win the award. But yeah, it's good to be actually noticed that I'm inspirational. But yet we are all there being inspirational. I mean, everybody wins. So, I mean, whether if we don't get an award or not, we win because we're there. We made it. I mean, after everything that's happened with the pandemic and, of course, a lot of other issues, but nevertheless, it's all good.
Mhm.
But so okay, so I got a guest with me today. Coming from Wisconsin, of course, but I guess today he's in Washington D.C. That's
Mm.
our nation's capital. But of course, he has a lot of things under his hat. I mean, of course, he has a lot of hats, and he's let's just say he's been doing martial arts since 1969, and of course, he done various styles of martial arts, but his root style is Goshindu. I can't even say him. Goshindo karate. Of course, he had his career as a psychotherapist and addiction counselor, and he does have a book out, the Black Belt Healing, a black belt, or should I say, a martial arts guide to pain management and injury recovery. And of course, I want to give it off to him. So I want everybody to say hello to David Nelson, or should I call Shinzen David Nelson. How we doing today?
Oh, doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Yeah. I'm surprised you're still with us after having a long night.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't stay too long, but I just wanted to get that celebration in before like the last
Oh,
day
yeah.
of the
Uh,
convention.
It's important to celebrate. You betcha. Yep. You can tell I'm from
All right.
Wisconsin. I'm going to say you betcha a lot.
Uh, all right. So, David, you got definitely have a lot of hats in the martial arts. In the martial arts. So, of course, you're currently retired. I understand, right?
Yeah, right. Retired from being a psychotherapist. Yeah, you never retire from being a martial artist, but yeah, for my career, yep, I've been a bum for a few years now, and really enjoy it. It's given me more opportunity to dive deeper into my sword practice and I do lots of Iaido, Tamashigiri, and also my Zen practice, so which is really important to me. And it's been very rewarding to be able to take the time and just dedicate myself to these, as well as do some writing. I'm also like to write poetry in the Zen traditions, that kind of a thing. So it's just something that keeps me off the streets and out of jail.
Uh, yeah, I mean, you want to keep yourself occupied. That's me. And other than
Yeah.
martial arts, I have a full-time job, and of course, I do other stuff, fitness. Of
Mhm.
course, I'm into pro wrestling, so at least keep myself out of trouble. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And I say, as you know, the as we mature in the arts, say I've been doing this for a long time. I've been very fortunate to just keep on breathing and keep on moving with all of this. And but as you grow in the arts, as your body gets more tenured and matured, your journey does take you more inward. It really does. As I say, it becomes very personal, and it's less and less about fighting and self-defense per se, but really more internal about waking up and really answering some of the life's deepest questions. Who are we? Why are we here? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's so great that I actually attend this convention. Other than the seminars, you get a lot of information.
Mhm.
At probably the greatest seminar that I've took, and that really boosts my confidence to teach better. I got Rowan Osborne. I mean, he's a wonderful guy, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's like he was teaching a lot about leadership and like what you
Oh,
need to
good.
do to be a team player. And of
Yes.
course, yeah.
Yeah, team playing is extremely important. I mean, even within my career that I had, we worked, I was primarily in behavioral health, did a lot of addictions counseling and work with people with chronic pain, helping people get off of opioids. And you had to do it with a team approach, with the medical doctors, with nutritionists, with social workers, with whoever. I worked a lot with our indigenous nations, our tribal nations in Wisconsin. And so it became a very team focused, very traditional approach to helping people heal and get better. So teamwork is just really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that you pass on to your students, and
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
them to understand that this is how your journey is. You don't do things
Mhm.
by yourself. You have to have some type of structural team to get you
Yeah.
through everyday life. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. It's very important to have like I say, a good teacher, a good dojo, a good team to help you dig. I was just say, dig your root deep. In your base art. I mean, my base art is a Goshindo karate, which has a strong Goju influence, and it's yeah, it's just one of the things you just dig deep, 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 and then you can go play in the branches once you have your roots settled down. And you can go play in the branches, do some different arts, because the arts, the martial arts, have a lot of similarities in their approach to self-defense. I mean, the body only moves certain ways, and so once you become a student of body movement and mind movement, it's just a joyful experience. It's painful too, but it's also joyful.
All right. All right. So before we kind of get into your like your background, like what you did with martial arts, you're gonna take us back in time, of course.
Mhm.
Now that was funny when I had that picture that I said I look like Butt Week, and then you
Uh-huh.
said you look like Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, so of course that had me cracking. I was like
Oh
looking at
yeah, yeah. I mean, I got my hair tied back today. Otherwise, yeah, I'm Mr. Bushy. Yeah, I'm out
yeah.
there like Doc Brown, lost, wandering around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually met Christopher Lloyd. I mean,
You did. Cool.
yeah, I kind of felt foolish that I've spent like $120 for a photo op when this table photo was $100. So that was like $20 extra. But uh,
That's that's cool.
all right, so of course, yeah. So you have that Christopher Lloyd look. So you're going to be Doc Brown right now. You're going to take us into the DeLorean back in time. So this is so before everything began with you with martial arts. So here's the first question. So how would you describe yourself before martial arts?
Oh, timid. Very, very quiet, very timid. Um, Massive worrier. I was about 14. Just hitting puberty and becoming a young adult. And the martial arts was exactly what I needed, and a good teacher was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, so okay, so yeah, so yeah, this is like your well, let's just say what would be your like your push? What was that one event that got you interested in martial arts? What did you
Well,
see?
but for myself, there was really never one thing. A lot of people talk about being bullied and all that, but I had some of that, but it wasn't really. Uh, it was just one of those things, and this may sound really weird, but I always was drawn to it. I mean, back then, this is back in 1969, so there wasn't a lot of TV shows or movies, but the Kung Fu show came out in the 70s with David Carradine, and Bruce Lee was hot back in those days too. But I just had a natural gravitation towards the martial arts, and then all of a sudden one day, through our small city, I grew up in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, population of 8,000 people, and through the Parks and Rec department, a fellow was teaching karate, and he was a local police officer. And so boom, I joined in there. I mean, there was a massive amount of people there, kids, adults. About 3 months later, there's about 5 of us left because it was old. It was old school karate on concrete floor, and their job wasn't to develop 100 black belts. Their job was to weed out those who just were there for thinking they'd be Bruce Lee in a couple months. And it was just something that I took it as a personal challenge. I really enjoyed the intensity of the training. So I just so there wasn't really a thing that set me there, other than I was just always drawn to that. And I mean, I was always even looking through books on kung fu and that kind of stuff, even before, we even had a teacher come to town. Again, back in the 60s, you took what was there, especially in a small town in northern Wisconsin. So, and he was a good instructor. He was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, when I kind of got started, of course, for me, I mean, I was born in an era where like technology was like being huge. You had like, of course, you didn't have Bruce Lee back when you were starting. So, but definitely for me, it was an era where martial arts pretty much was expanding. Like
Yeah.
other than movies, it was TV shows, it was cartoons, and that was the thing that kind of boosted my confidence to really start out. I mean, because it was just almost like it was a dream. Like I could say, majority of my time I was in front of the TV watching movies, TV shows. Like mostly me and my sister, like we were two peas in a pod. So we would spend most of the time like watching, like what she watched, I was watching too. So
Sure.
like for today, it's like I can remember everything that I watched with my sister, and then like if I see it on TV, or if I don't remember the movie and I see it on TV, it's like that I used to watch that. So yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. It was the era of well, we didn't have any protective equipment except for we'd wear a mouth guard and a groin protection, and that was it. And we had no mats, so when you went to the ground, you hit a concrete floor, and so you had to really know how to fall. And I mean, we did things safely. I mean, we weren't, Sensei wasn't, you know, didn't injure us that badly, but I mean, injuries did happen quite a bit. And so you had to we learned how to take care of ourselves too, and you had to. And
Yeah.
some of the old school teachers, they knew resuscitation techniques. I mean, when you got knocked down, I mean, we were up and he was doing some old school stuff, especially when you got kicked between the legs.
Oh yeah.
They double over, laying on the ground. It was like, okay, we got to fix this one up pretty quick. So, but
All right.
but it was fun. But it was again, it was a time that was very exciting for myself as a teenager. I've always enjoyed challenges like that. Even though I was basically timid and quiet, I'm still quiet. I'm a reserved individual in a lot of ways, but martial arts, my journey really brought me into the confidence, that I can handle myself, and I can walk away from something, and I don't, from an altercation, and I'm okay with that. And I don't have to prove myself. I can walk away.
Yeah, so that's what this whole convention that I'm going to, like, really, it's like mostly it's well, self-defense is pretty much big. I mean, it has to be. I mean, what things going on today, it's like you have nothing, you don't have much of a choice but to watch your back when you're out in this, like out in public. You never know what can happen. There's always that person that like goes out and just like thinks that they're like pretty much above you, and they can just attack you from any place they want. So that's the thing that we are really do with martial arts today. It's like it's mostly self-defense, but yet we try to put on that traditional martial arts in there. You want your students to know the history behind martial arts, to understand what they're doing with self-defense now.
Correct. Exactly right. You have to, good martial art does update for the times. I mean, you want to keep things traditional, good to have a good base in your art form, understand where it's coming from. And I mean, originally Budo means to put away the sword or put away the spear. It's about peacefulness. And but to take care of, look at what modern day warrior needs to defend themselves in a worst case situation. So, yep.
Uh, so can you describe like your first lesson? I mean, this is like you paid your money and you walk into
Mhm.
that studio, you walk into that dojo, and what was your like your first
Oh,
lesson like, if you can remember?
oh yeah, just lots of pain. Knuckle push-ups on concrete floor. I mean, that was probably the like, wow, this is really hard. And so it's like, but again, you're really, let's do this. And well, one of the first things I saw was Sensei. One of his, he was a fellow police officer. He'd been training some other officers, and they were doing this old kata called Sanchin kata, which means three conflicts. It's that heavy breathing, slow motion stuff. And I saw that, and I'm going, I'm doing that. I want that. I mean, I just so like this was so cool. I'm doing that. And Sachin kata from the outside is the most boring kata in the world. But after doing this for 50 some years, it's the most exciting kata ever.
Uh,
It's a qigong. It's an energy exercise as well, and it wakens up so much energy inside of you and so much vitality, and that's actually very uh, instrumental in self-defense, and one keeping yourself centered and calm, but also in terms of movement of your body and your mind. It's phenomenal, because as you get older, your circles, your movements gets tighter, more softer but tighter, and it's amazing. And you get more done with doing less, which I find absolutely amazing. It surprises me, you know. And I know I have a long way to go. I have a buddy of mine who I think he's 88 now. He is one of the last Caucasians to get his black belt from Osensei in Aikido in Japan. And if you ever want to be humbled, have yourself thrown around by an 80-year-old Aikido guy. Yeah,
yeah.
his circles are really soft, but so powerful. It's unbelievable. If you look at stuff from the outside, it looks like it's all faked. But I'll tell you, the pain is real. It's unbelievable. I'm sorry, I'm rambling now. I do that as I got older too.
uh, yeah, so just like thinking like what we had today, like we know we have safety mats, of course, but still
Oh yeah.
stiff. I mean, of course, yeah, working on a hard floor. I mean, I don't think I can do that. I mean,
I don't
yeah.
recommend. I really don't. I'm all for safety. I mean, we live in an age too of liability and having to have good insurance, and making sure we train our students safely, and
um,
that they're not harmed, and but also that they get good training, because they have to get hit. I mean, you have to be put through discomfort. You have to be put through stress, not only physically but mentally. And because the street, I mean, it's very stressful, and fights happen very fast, faster than you'll ever find in the dojo. I mean, it's so chaotic, so fast, and if you're not trained for it, you're going to crumple. You're just going to fall over. And so at
Yep.
least you want to get as closest to that as you can in the dojo in your training. So when it actually does happen, you're a little bit better prepared.
Yeah, so I mean, with these kids, I mean, you want to train them young. I mean, you
Oh,
want to try to gear up. Want to try to get them away from the technology. I
right.
feel like technology has like made like pretty much took over, and you got kids with tablets, cell phones, and of course you
Yep.
got the games. I pretty much grew up with the Nintendo
Mhm.
era, like the original Nintendo. Definitely I was hooked on that. But yeah, it's with martial I kind of pretty much drifted away from doing video games because I'm so focused on growing out with the martial arts. So that pretty
Oh,
much got me
mhm.
away from that. So with now as an instructor, I'm teaching these kids, video games, technology is not going to help you get away from situation. So you want to train them as much like pretty much repetition with self-defense, so they have
Yep.
an idea saying that this is what I need when I'm walking home from school, because you never know, of course, a bully, that's
Right.
being a big reason that kids take martial arts. They're the
Yep.
subject of bullying, and yet sometimes they hide that, and mostly the parents never tell you why they join martial arts. It's just you end up have to find out yourself based on their demeanor when they go into
Mhm.
class.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I was fortunate that I had my dad gave me the instructions when I was younger. He goes, "Hey, if anybody picks on you, starts to bully you, feel free to punch them in the face. And if you get in trouble at school, just let me know, because I got your back." You know, and I mean, my dad had, I come from a family of fighters, and so it was just sort of like one of those things, you know. And I'm talking, you know, street fighting. I'm not, you know, so yeah. So my dad had her back. So
Yeah, so just like when you talk about street fighting, you know, if there was no karate dojo, you would resort to street fighting, and then you basically get your skills like from what you see out in the street. Now, that's pretty much
yeah.
what's I could say what's going on now. Because they, you
Mhm.
know, you got all these different types of fighters that, you know, if
Oh
you
yeah.
used to play football, you fight like a
Mhm.
football player. If you used to like be a wrestler, like did high school wrestling, amateur wrestling,
Mhm.
you fought like a wrestler. So
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. When I'm like getting all my stories from one of my uncles who used to always get into trouble and in the bars and stuff. But one time he did get into a fight in a bar, and um, he beat this guy up, and the guy left. And my uncle stayed in the bar. This guy came back with a gun and shot him. He survived.
Oh,
Yeah, he survived. This was back in the 70s. He survived. But it was one of those things that really, I was probably 16 or 17 at the time, it sort of woke me up to realities of, this is really serious stuff. This is not something we go play with. And so it was like, you know, just learning those kinds of things from you know, from that side of the family. And it was again, it was just an eye opener. And I was taking martial arts at the time, so it's something I always logged in the back of my mind. So I stay out of bars, so it helps me a lot.
yeah, yeah. I don't drink much, you know. I try to kind of stay away from, you know, I don't mind going out and like having my
Yeah.
good time, but you know, if resorts to going to bars and drinking, you know, I kind of want to stay away from that trouble. You know, it's just
Oh, yeah.
that that one person that gets so loaded with alcohol or get
Mhm.
liquored up, I like to say, and then you know
Yep.
you have a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the first guy I ever promoted to black belt used to be a bar fighter. And I mean, he just like to go out, drink, and just get into fights. And that's what they went out for, you know. And so he wanted to learn martial arts from me. So I really had to check his character. So we were talking more and more about that. I mean, he stopped doing a lot of that when he got knifed one night. Um, so he sort of started to rethink things. But I made him come into I was teaching out of my home at the time. And he had to come to my back. I had a walkout basement to come in. I had got that concrete floors. I never finished basement. And this was when I was living in Nebraska. So it'd be cold and snow, but he had to show up at 5:30 in the morning and meditate with me for 40 minutes to an hour before we'd even begin martial arts practice. And he trained with me for a lot of years, and was really powerful, very turned out to be a really nice man, you know. But I had to really check his character, because you don't know who you're training. And he could pack one hell of a punch. I had some students almost quit because he hit him too hard, you
Uh,
know. But yeah, Mike. We called him Mike. He was our Iron Mike, and he that guy could give a punch and take a punch.
mm,
And, but we always trained for one of the things we always trained. I always taught students that we're always trained we're fighting three people at all times. And I got that from old Sanshin. Caught the Sanshin means three conflicts. So I always figured, hey, there's always three of them. There's never just one person. There's always three. And lo and behold, Iron Mike, his past caught up with him one day and was attacked by three people. And
mm.
long story short, he took care of him.
Uh,
So, but
yeah.
yeah, that was his karmic. You know, his karma was coming back after. And but he did okay. He came into the dojo with a pretty good black eye, but he survived. But
Uh,
again, it was kind of training and awareness situation. So we debriefed it. You know, as a sensei, I debriefed his situation and walked him through it to make sure that, you know, I wanted to make sure he wasn't, you know, that he was okay. You know, the martial arts is really about training to be a good person, to be, you know, becoming a person of good character. And that's what we're really focused on. You find people that have that rough past, and you help them round out those edges. And those who come in with lack of confidence, you help them bolster their self-esteem. So whatever you need, I mean, the martial arts can provide it, and a good instructor will do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much lived through having good instructor. My first instructor, I can say I grew up with ADHD.
Mhm.
I know I have better control with it now than I
Mhm.
had when I started martial arts. It's
Mhm.
just that it's like you have so a group or should I say a group of instructors that's kind of set you straight. My first instructor, he was pretty much how I was,
Mhm.
just a fun looking guy. And the great thing is, he's still a first degree black belt, and yet here
Mhm.
I am, a fourth degree, and
Mhm.
I kind of pick on him, saying like, haha, when's the next time you're gonna test? But
Yeah.
I still consider him like my first instructor. He's been here long enough, so he knows more than I do. So I
Right.
can't say my rank could, I can't say I outrank him like with since I'm a fourth degree, but yet it's just the years of experience, so I'm
Just
lower than
years of
him.
experience. Yeah. Ranking after a while, I actually walked away from all that stuff myself. Ranks and titles, and I'm still very traditional, except for that kind of stuff. I'm sort of even that era of you just train. If you
Yeah.
want a piece of paper, I got lots of paper. I'll write you up a piece of paper, but that's not going to help you. You know, um, you have to train, and you have to train, and you have to train well. You have to have a good, deep foundation in whatever you do. And again, that's what martial arts will do. It's going to give you what you need, and that foundation begins whether you need to build your self-esteem or to round off some tough edges and mellow you out. It does that for you, and I've seen that happen with so many people, and it's really neat. So, actually, as a therapist, I was working with a lot of people with addictions, and I was able to dovetail a lot of martial arts philosophy into my therapeutic approach to helping people manage chronic pain and their addiction. A lot of people drink or use drugs because of a reason, and usually there's trauma, there's some sort of traumatic event, usually from the childhood, even adulthood. Something has happened, and the martial art application of how to properly fight your internal aspects is the same as the outside, and learning how to have a good foundation of watching your mind and your breathing, and a variety of meditative techniques that I would bring with me to my therapeutic sessions. People found extremely helpful, and because they are helpful. That's old
Yep.
school traditional Chinese stuff, qigong, energy exercises, and breath work, meditation, diet. Diet is extremely important. As good athletes, diet. Yeah, we have to have a good diet. And it's also very important when you're managing anxiety, pain, addictions, anything. That's extremely important. So a real strong holistic approach that I learned in the martial arts, I just took to therapy. And nowadays it's become a big thing. I mean, back when I was doing meditation, that kind of stuff with people in therapy, it wasn't a big thing. And now it's a big thing. And so it's really good to see it come along, and it's being backed by science. They do a lot of empirical research on it now and show how mindfulness and meditation techniques are extremely beneficial, especially people with ADHD, people who just they need it. It rounds you out. Whatever you need, it'll fulfill that purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell my students like the things that they learn in school can apply to martial arts. Like you said, there's a science behind
Yeah,
martial arts, and yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I like the fact that when you talk about the guy that was having all these issues, like
Mm.
his demeanor, and before you even get him into the training, you meditate first, which is that is something really important. You want to make sure your mind is at the right level before you start training. You want to be at a calm level. You want the training to be like you want it to be um like go easily, go
Yeah.
swiftly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he was dedicated. And he just wasn't there to
Yeah, that's it.
learn stuff and sort of go beat shit people up. And so And I was very fortunate to have a good. I actually did 8 years of formal study with a Zen teacher in Soto branch of Zen, and the name I have of Shinzen is my Buddhist name, my Dharma name. I'm what they call a lay priest in Soto Zen, and I've done long retreats and meditate for long periods of time. I did used to have an annual event. I had a Zen and healing arts retreat. So we'd meditate in the mornings, and then in the afternoons we'd either bring in a healing artist, like somebody, a master of kung fu who is trained in herbalism, and those kinds of things, or energy work. And then we would do energy work or play with swords or do open ended in the afternoon. And it was a whole day long retreat, and we had a blast. It was really, really fun. But the morning meditation was hard on a lot of people. I had quite a few people say, "Man, that's hard. It's you sit and meditate for half hour to 40 minutes, and you do 10 minutes of walking, another 40 minutes of sitting, and you do that for a while. It's very grueling, and it'll test your character."
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's why easier for people to do yoga because either you're
Oh yeah,
laying down, yeah, yeah,
yeah. So the Zen approach and the mindfulness stuff, you bring it to the martial arts, you bring it to your life. It just has a very strong calming effect, and if it's done properly. And a lot of folks tend to quit because they think they're going to become enlightened, or just like in martial arts, I think it's going to be this quick, easy thing. No, it's actually very intense. If you're doing Zen sitting properly, after about 30 to 40 minutes, I mean, you could be building up a sweat because it's not all butterflies and and rainbows. It's intensity. That's why the samurai studied Zen. It helped them deal with life and death. I mean, these guys were facing death every day, and they had to have an answer to why I would go out there. And Zen training helped them fit that part of that spiritual aspect of their life, who they are, what life's all about, and to help them deal better. So
yeah. Yeah, and when I think about you heard about like McDojos or just
oh
belt factories, yeah, and like
yeah,
really you think about it's like you're just giving out belts and you're not teaching these students like if mostly for my style we want to like gear our students towards self-defense. We want to train
yeah.
them to fight like or defend themselves like black belts. We're just not
Mhm.
giving them black belts. When we do our
Right.
black belt tests, we want that test to be difficult. We want them to work for their black belt. It's just not there. You're not getting a black belt even though you paid like say $200 for a test.
Mhm.
We're not just going to give you a belt. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like that's like if you're just all there about a belt, you might as well just go to Amazon and buy it
that's
and then say
exactly
you're a
right.
black belt. Yeah, but yet if you want to train and be able to defend yourself like in a street situation, then yeah,
Mhm.
you've got to really put that commitment in and really know how your muscles work. You know how to sweat. You know how to
Mhm.
do proper breathing, and at
Yep,
least know your history. Yeah.
that's right. Exactly. And again, as far as I was very fortunate that my teacher was a police officer, and the style of our karate was called Go Shindo, which means the way of self-defense. So that was our focus, and it was, and so we did some pretty good training. I mean, so many times every Saturday and Sunday. I mean, throughout my teen years, those my afternoons were full of just we would heavy kickboxing. Then after the kickboxing, after an hour or so of that, we would do our self-defense training. And then Sensei finally got some mats because he was trained in judo as well. So we'd be doing our mat work as well. And but it wasn't mat work. It wasn't like jujitsu like you see today. It was more or less, okay, you're on the ground, you got thrown to the ground. How do we dispense of this person as quickly as we can so you can get up and get out? It wasn't. We're not fighting. We're surviving. This is not about fighting. It's not about quelling somebody or beating them into the ground. It's about getting yourself up and getting yourself out of that situation, or helping defend a loved one and removing yourself as quickly as you can. And that's what it's about. And maintaining the peace. And heaven forbid we ever really harm somebody that bad. But some days you have to. I mean, that's what life brings you. You have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're in that dangerous situation, it's a fight or flight situation, it's
Mhm.
a kill or be killed, that's why, of course,
Yeah.
most styles put Krav Maga in that, well, mostly our style, we put Krav Maga because, it's a kill or be killed. And,
Mhm.
it's not, I know it's not everybody's intention to at least kill or hurt somebody, but your goal every day is to go home and you're safe. You're working a 8-hour job, 8 or 10 hour
Right.
job, and then of course you don't have like you don't have time for everything else. You just want to get home and just recover, and then you got
Mhm.
that one person that prevents you from doing that, and you
Mhm.
have no choice but to find that extra energy inside, and just like you explode, and you don't make it lengthy. You just get get in and out of there, and it's like you get out of there. Yeah.
That's right. That's basically it. We have this. We joke about this, especially as we get older. It's like us old guys. We don't fight anymore. We just kill. Fighting takes too long. I don't have time to fight. I'll gas out real quick. You know, just come here. Just let me hit you. You know? So, but I mean, there's been, again, learning to adapt, especially as our bodies mature. Because impermanence is a fact in all of life. We're all going to get older. I mean, I was once a 14-year-old boy entering a dojo. Now I'll be 67 here in a few days, and your body changes. It's amazing how that happens. And now if I sneeze, I can pull a muscle, but there's a lot of mileage that goes with what we've done over the years. I mean, I'm fortunate I've not had to have any knee or hip replacements, where a lot of my friends have already been through a lot. Even my younger brother, has had a knee replacement. He's a martial artist as well.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate that my joints, but I consider my joints and tendons have been very good because of Sanshin Kata, actually, all that the school training of Qigong. And one of the secrets of the martial arts actually are the healing arts. It's learning how to recover quickly and how to take care of yourself after a hard training session, and then how to recover quickly and do it safely. And I have a good friend of mine. His name is Miles Coleman. I'll give him a shout out. He's a master herbalist, traditional Chinese medicine, and a Kung Fu master. And he's been my doctor for over 30 years. And his concoctions have helped keep me pretty healthy. I mean, I've torn menisci in my knees, and the stuff that he's given me has been remarkable. It's helped me recover quickly and get back in without surgery. So I just wish I could fix the goofy in my head, because I've had too many concussions. So if I turn my head too fast, I fall over. But that's besides the point. No, but one thing I actually enjoyed doing kendo. I did kendo for a while, but I get my bell rung even with a full shield on, and I just, after a while, my head said, no, I can't do this anymore. So you have to learn to make adjustments, and you pick up different weapons. I mean, I picked up the sword back in the 90s, Japanese sword work. And I just enjoy that, because being able to swing a sword translates to so many different kind of weaponry. As I get older, I'll have a walking stick. So I've got my Joe with me, a short bow, and so I just look like an old man with his walking stick or cane. But I'm not using it for that. That's for my self-protection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always weaponized, and I can tell you all the weapons I carry, but yeah, that's one of them for sure. So
Yeah. So of
but
course, yeah.
that's the adaptations you make as we get older too. You have to say, well, what can I reasonably do to help myself remove myself from a situation, and what do I need now? What's the best route to go? And so that's what you do after 50 some years. You start to really make your changes. And again, hopefully to provide inspiration too, for younger people like yourself and other people just getting into the arts and moving through the arts, that, hey, this is a lifelong journey, and it becomes a passion, and it just keeps you going. There's times you don't feel like getting out of bed. There's days you don't want to go train, but those are the days you have to go. And there's those ones that once you get past that, the voices in your head that tell you to quit, you're okay. You know, we all have those that I don't feel like doing this today. But you start to say, hey, that's not me. That's just voices. Those are just old laziness. That's not who I am today. It's not who I am now. And I just plow forward.
Yeah. Definitely have like one person that I usually kind of listen to, like when it comes to inspirational quotes, is Steve Harvey. And, he's like
Oh, yeah.
says
Yeah.
there's like have to versus get to. So, when you have that attitude, it's like I have to go to work.
Mhm.
It's like you don't want to do it. It's like I have to do
No,
this, I have to do that. But
right.
you want to have that I get to.
You get
It's
to
like really,
that.
yeah, because this is your opportunity. You get a chance to do stuff. You get to go to work.
That's right.
You get to train. You get to
Get to do that.
cook dinner. You get to go home. I mean, that should be
Exactly.
that's your
That's
demeanor.
perfect. Exactly. Gratefulness
Yeah.
is phenomenal. I always call it when I was, again, as a counselor, I would train them in this called, have you ever heard the word dim mak, the death touch?
Yeah,
Okay.
blood sport.
Yeah. Gratitude, gratefulness is the dim mak for negative emotions. To change that negativity, you start to be thankful for what you have. And one of the meditations we would do in the temple would be every spoonful of food we would take would be to be thank. How did this rice get here today? So you start thinking you start thinking the entire universe, because that's how it got here. So you realize you're totally supported by the entire universe. As you take a look at one little grain of rice in your bowl, how that got there to feed you, it's phenomenal, and it really changes your attitude, and you become much more grateful for things. Yes, definitely. But you get to do things, and I'm happy to continue to do this into my 60s, and I plan on doing this until I can't breathe anymore.
Yeah.
And you start doing fun things. I've for the last couple of years too. I do a lot of internal work. I picked up doing the Wim Hof method. And I don't know if you've heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman. But I take cold showers, and I'll do ice baths for about 2 to 3 minutes. And I'll do that periodically. And also with some very deep yogic breathing, which is good for the organs and the lungs, and it creates internal heat. Actually reduces inflammation. And I found it really helpful for my martial arts as well. And especially the cold baths really are good for recovery, sore muscles. And but it's also good for the mind, because there's days if you walk in that shower, it's like, oh man, I don't want to blast myself with cold water right now, but you do it anyway. And it totally takes whatever you're thinking about or felt that just before the shower is totally gone once that cold water hits, and it takes your breath away. And because you have to recover, you have to capture your breath and get your breathing back while you're being doused in this cold water for 2 or 3 minutes. And that's good training. I can see why these old Japanese monks would go into the waterfalls and do that. And it's like, wow, that's phenomenal training. It's not just so much physical, but it's mental to be able to keep your breathing going, and to keep your mind centered, because you have to keep it centered, because your brain starts to freeze after a while. You have to move around. But the cold ice baths, I have a rain barrel at home that I fill up with the water and then the ice, and I just sit in that for a while. And my neighbors think I'm an absolutely Looney Tune old guy sitting out in his rain barrel, But hey, I enjoy it. It's very refreshing. You gotta try it someday. Check out Wim Hof. He did a lot of YouTube stuff.
Yeah. And I wish I was interested in the cold, but cold's like kryptonite. I need heat. I mean, it's great. Yeah, it's great that I'm back out in Vegas. It's like when I'm out there in the hot weather, it's like, yeah, energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Vegas is fun too. I told you before I got married in Vegas, so 35 years ago. So it was we're still married, so it's even better. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So, oh yeah, congratulations on your anniversary. Yeah,
oh yeah, just a
yeah,
while ago. Yeah, 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 yeah. Good old circus.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that's still. I think that's tore down. I don't know if that's still
It,
standing. I mean,
we were there about maybe 5 years ago, and it was pretty run down, and maybe it's tore down now. But yeah, it was pretty sad looking when we were there. And
yeah.
35 years ago, it was a pretty nice looking place, but now it's pretty sad. Yeah, yeah. But again, we're all a little old. The older you get, the little more old and tired you look too. So, you know,
Yeah. All right. So, what would you say your favorite moment in martial arts would be? Like, of course, of course, you got your black belt in Goshindo
mhm.
martial arts. So, what would you say? How would you just describe your black belt test?
Oh, that was interesting. Um, a lot of folks, you set a date and you get things lined up and you train for it and you train for it and you get put through the rigors. Well, I think I was a senior in college. I was an undergraduate work, and I would whenever I'd come home for like Christmas time and holidays, I'd go train with my sensei. And I was training while I was in college too. I was training with a bunch of Kyokushin guys when I was in college. So that's a really hardcore style. And I came home, so it was in December 1976. I remember that. And I go to train with Sensei, and it was just him standing there. And I go, "Where is everybody?" I'm like, "There's about a handful of guys." And he goes, "It's just you and me today. They're testing
Mm.
for your black belt. No
Oh,
warning, no nothing. And I just show up, and that day, that moment, I'm being tested." And so he proceeded basically just to beat me up for a couple hours. And I said, "That'll be $10. I got to pay for the certificate." That's how it was back then. It was like, I said, "Yeah." But it took me, it was an 8 year, well, 7 to 8 year journey, and to get to that point. But he knew I was ready. And that's where Sensei was. It was like, time to go. Let's do this. There wasn't a lot of warm ups or all that kind of stuff to prepare for your test. You show up. Every day was a day of testing. You had to be ready every day. And that was part of the test. Was you show up and boom, you're testing today. Let's go.
yep.
And because you have to be on every day. It's not just about showing up and then only looking really good on test day. It's you got to look good every day because you don't know when Sensei was going to grab you and say today's the day.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I mean, I always tell my students, like, you want to treat your class like it was a test. I mean, as
yep,
soon as you walk into that mat, you're testing. You're not actually testing. It's like you want to treat your techniques like if you were actually testing for your next rank. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I had for a while I actually worked in my hometown, and I was doing some. It was called the community support counseling for people with severe mental illness. I would meet with them in restaurants, having coffee, meet them in a natural environment. And people had schizophrenia who were struggling, and I'd be sitting in a restaurant having coffee with one of my clients, and since he'd sneak up behind me with his walkie-talkie. He had the antenna pulled out and jam it in the back of my neck. He goes, "Pay attention." He would just always do that because he was walking around. He's a cop. He's in town. And so he would do that kind of stuff to me. Always pay attention, and it was sort of fun. So I would do that to my students once in a while too. And I had one of my little gal students. Her name was Mariah. We called her Mad Dog. She was like 4'10", but she was a buzzsaw. You did not mess with Mariah. But it was a Christmas parade once in this little town we were living at, and so it's wintertime. It's cold. And she was with some of her friends, and I jumped her and put her into a headlock. Her friends had no idea who I was, and they're freaking out. And she immediately starts moving into self-defense mode, and I had to let go because I knew I was about to get hurt. And so it was really fun. And I would do stuff like that too, just surprise some of my students. And but it was fun. It was good. I had a good dojo outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin, in a small town called Shawano. I had some great group of people, and I lived there for quite a while, so I developed a lot of good students. A lot of weirdos, but they were good.
All right, so yeah, you have a PhD. What's your degree in? Like, do you have a master degree or something? Like,
I'm
uh,
actually a Catholic doctor, actually, and
mm,
my master's is in counseling, and but I decided to get my doctorate in naturopathic as a naturopathic doctor, but I took a PhD route because I was more interested in doing research and doing writing as opposed to practicing as a naturopathic doctor. I really wanted to get the scientific background and being able to do more empirical research, which my job eventually allowed me to do when I was managing behavioral health and for again for one of the tribes here in Wisconsin. And so I was able to. We had we call it integrative approach again with the doctors and all that. We ran chronic pain programs, and so I could able to put together science with all the stuff that I was doing pre-tests, post-tests, and tracking data, that kind of stuff. So, but a lot of natural health and healing practices. But actually, I learned about cold therapy was through that, and a lot of good natural healing modalities: traditional Chinese medicine, homeopathic methods, naturopathic methods, breath work. Any way I could find a way to help people heal, that's what I was interested about. How can I help them? And also help myself, I was a nut job, nah. Well, one of the things, I had some severe anxiety for a while when I was a teenager. And that's how
mm,
I got into a lot of Zen meditation. Martial arts helped me with that. I mean, they had me on a lot of medications when I was about 15, like Valium and Stelazine. And I just knew that wasn't it. And so I threw them out and just stayed with my meditation. And that worked the best. That just helped me. And over time, it just, the more you practice peace, the more peaceful you become.
yeah, and definitely going through all your journey, it just inspired you to, or should I say, it gave you a push to write your first book, the Black Belt Healing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's where I dovetailed my counseling career and martial arts journey, and would teach people how to actually manage pain in a very naturopathic way through meditation and hypnosis. I did live train myself to take hypnotic journeys and to help people with that as well. How to use the power of the mind in a very positive way. And again, a lot of that stuff is backed by science. It's not just I call it new agey stuff or hippy dippy stuff. It's really a hardcore science on how hypnosis can help heal the mind. Um, Helps with the healing process when it stays positive, when it stays grateful, when it stays in a state of yeah, I'm moving forward. I'm already healed. I'm already doing better. And it was really interesting how when we traded, I would chart people in my chronic pain group. They would do a pre-test of where their pain levels were at and how it impacted their life in terms of sleep, work, all that kind of stuff. And after 8 weeks of running the group, their pain levels physically stayed the same, but their quality of life began to improve. Even though they had the same pain, they could walk better, they felt better, they were more grateful, they just felt their suffering was less. So they learned the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is pain, and suffering is our resistance to the pain. And once we learn to embrace the pain, like in the martial arts, we learn to embrace the pain. You have to embrace the fight. You have to get in it. You have to jump in. And the same with chronic pain, you have to jump in. You have to become curious about it. You have to say, hey, come on, let's go. And it's amazing how that changes your journey. And then over time, the pain levels will drop off. But initially, it was the quality of life improved. And that's what's so cool. It was to see that and for them to see that in their own, their own testing, their own words. This is where my pain was when I started. Here it is now, 8 weeks later. Hey, I am better. Doing this weird qigong stuff, and mindfulness stuff, and training to be warriors. And many of the indigenous people I worked with, there's a very strong warrior mindset. And so bringing that into the counseling session was very helpful. And 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 many people are very open to the Qigong, because some of the traditional practices they had in their indigenous ways were very similar to the Qigong of Chinese culture. So earth cultures are very similar. Earth cultures understand earth culture. And so I could be talking all day on that stuff. But that's my degree was actually finding natural ways to help people heal without medication. And because that was part of my journey. And so I just wanted to assist people with that journey as well. And the martial arts was a major portion of that journey, and natural health and healing, Chinese medicine, herbs, meditation, breath work, all that good stuff, ice baths, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I guess you had like probably a lot of notebooks. You probably took a lot of notes to just get this book to happen. Yeah.
You know, and you got to try stuff. You got to jump in. You have to not be afraid to say, "Oh, okay, I'll go take a cold shower." I mean, the first one I ever took, I was like, "I ain't doing that shit no more." Pardon my French. I'm not doing that anymore, you know. And but I did, you know, because I took it as a challenge. You know, I'll do some. I'll set a challenge down for 21 days. I'm going to do this for 21 days, whether I want to do it or not. I'm going to do this for 21 days. And then after those 21 days, it's like, it's not so bad. Now, it's been almost 3 years I've been doing this cold shower stuff. It's really cool. It's amazing. I don't even think about it now. You just walk in, hit the shower. It's invigorating. You crave it. You want it. And it's like martial arts. If you're not in the dojo, you miss a training a day or two. It's like, I got to get back in there. I got to go hit somebody. I got to get hit. You know, you start to enjoy doing that. It's a strange thing, the martial arts, but it's a wonderful thing. And it's such it's fun. There's so many different ways of martial art training, and whether it's karate, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, kendo, there's so many different ways to enter in. And but it really comes down to the good people that you meet, and I think that's some of the best things. You meet some wonderful people, and that help you, that support your journey. I mean, there's those jerks out there that just want to beat you into the ground, but most of the people that you find are going to be that are supporting you, that understand this is a journey of relationships. This is family. You take somebody as a student, they become family. You start working with somebody, they're family. I mean, I've performed marriage ceremonies for my students, and so it's all, it's just cool. And then even people like yourself, even though we've never personally met, you're family because you're a martial artist. Everywhere you go, there's people that are family. You meet them, you get this connection with them, and just because we share this bond of martial arts, that's cool. I guess it's really cool, So.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we kind of get to our Hidden Dojo segment, here's the last question I got for you. Yeah. What inspiring quote best describes your journey?
Oh, I'd say, seek not. It was written by a Zen poet. His name is Basho. And seek not to follow in the footsteps of the masters, seek what they sought. In other words, you don't have to follow exactly what they do, but seek what they sought. And that's really cool. Seek not to follow in their footsteps, but to seek what they sought. And that's a big difference. And for a while, you'll copy them, but after a while, you find your own way. And you're going to find the way reveals itself to you. And that's what the do is, but behind karate do, judo, taekwondo, it's the way. And that way gets revealed to you through this journey. And you learn to trust the journey, you learn to trust this moment. Because like in a fight, you can't pre-plan anything. You have to follow and trust your training in that moment. And so how do we do this in our everyday life? How do you trust this moment? And that's what they're seeking. How do you trust this moment? How you enter into this way and find that deeper peace about yourself. And that's what it's about for me. So seek not to follow in their footsteps, but to seek what they sought. And he's got some great books, Basho, Journey to the Interior. He walked through Japan and wrote about his journey, his travel logs, and he was a phenomenal poet. And his beautiful words, just absolutely beautiful words. And so he was one of my inspirations for writing. And as I've gotten older too, I've started to do more poetry, and just because it's one of those peaceful things to do. And I have the time for it now, and so it's sort of fun. I enjoy being a retired bum.
Yeah, I got a long way to go. Well,
Yeah,
let's just
yeah,
say I don't know. I don't have.
you'll
Well, I don't
get
have to
there.
test physically anymore, but I'm looking forward to that fifth degree. So yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm still training in general, just mentally as well as not as much physically, but just get
right.
myself mentally ready. Yeah.
Yeah, when you get to those areas, it's about contributing to the arts. My book Black Belt Healing was one of those contributions to the arts. That as you mature, what are you doing? That this is an art. What are you contributing? What's your art? Art is creative, and not just, again, that's what Basho is talking about. Is we're not just going to go paint the same painting every day. You have to start that way, but then where are you going to paint on your own? What are you creating? What's coming forth from the way that's showing people that, yeah, you're a creative artist. And I was very fortunate. I've got two friends of mine that I've trained with for years, and they've both been in the arts from same way. And we all talk about that. We would get together about, yeah, we're creative artists. Like the three of us would get together, it'd be like jazz musicians getting together, and there's no plan. We just start jamming, and that's what we would do. We'd get together and play in free form, and a bunch of three old men falling down, laughing at each other. It was a good time, you know. But yeah. And Ray, my buddy Ray Walter, he's a Goju. He's a fifth degree in Goju. And then Bob Martin, on the East Coast, he's also Goju, but also he did a lot of like lineage of Moses Powell, a lot of jiu-jitsu kind of things. And Bob is phenomenal. Bob Martin, he's got a website. Yeah, he's still teaching now down in the villages in Florida. And but he's phenomenal. His stuff is very creative, top-notch stuff. So here or there. But the arts, it's about art. It's about art. So any other questions? I get to rambling. I apologize for that. So
Yeah. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our Hidden Dojo segment of the interview. So definitely, I'm gonna ask Dave 7 questions. So this is the fun part of the interview.
okay.
So yeah, this is where we pretty much get the audience to know pretty much your fun side of you. Hey. All right, so the first question is the best advice you ever gotten and who said it?
Oh boy, best advice you've ever gotten. Who said it? Be my Zen teacher, Nonan Koini, as a Reverend Nonan Koini. And basically, he was giving a Dharma talk one day, and he says, it's not about understanding what I'm saying, it's in the listening. Doesn't make any difference whether you understood him, it's in the listening. It's always in the doing. It's always in just being totally present. Whether you're understanding it or not, it's irrelevant. That's mind chatter. And so it was a big, important lesson for me. It's in the listening. And being a professional counselor, that was a big thing for me. So best advice is just to listen. How do I listen?
Usually this is the one that people don't get is the worst advice you ever gotten.
That's probably from myself. Oh, let's see. Worst advice I've ever gotten. I don't know if I've ever gotten any. I'm gonna say no advice is really worse, because you always learn something. So I can't think of anything that was really, really bad except probably in college. Let's go to happy hour kind of a thing. So I'll have to pass on that one. I can't say I've ever had any really bad advice. Other than just to go do stupid things when you're a kid. You know, we won't say firearms and pharmaceuticals were involved, so we won't go there.
uh, yeah, definitely, definitely keep out of them. So,
Yeah, we won't go there.
yeah. All right. Guilty pleasure. How would you reward yourself?
Oh boy. I like to sit down just on a hot day. I just like a nice cold beer. It's one of my guilty pleasures. I just like a nice cold beer, and it tastes good going down. That's one of my guilty pleasures.
Yeah, I mean, I say like, of course, other than doing that, you kind of have to get away from everything, that you work very hard during the week, you have to
Right.
like spend that one day just like taking a walk or going to
Yep.
like traveling to places. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I have I have a daily routine of meditation and all these healthy things, and a beer occasionally is just really a healthy thing to have. I was at a Zen retreat again. I'll keep this really short, but it was a couple day retreat, so it's really intense meditation. And it was a hot July. I mean, it was really hot, and on the plains of Nebraska. And I was leaving the temple, and my Zen teacher sitting out on the front porch. And as I walk out there, he pops open the tall cold one, and starts drinking, and goes, "Damn, I'm glad that's over."
uh,
Yeah. So I said, "Yeah, here's a good Zen teacher. He's really good." So he'd zing me with those once in a while.
all right. If you were in the movie, what kind of movie would you be in?
Oh boy. Well, obviously it's got to be a martial arts movie with a deep message. Like a David Carradine type movie, Bruce Lee type
Hmm.
movie, something that has a deep message. Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that was what I was thinking. Either it's got to be like a kung fu type movie, like
Mhm.
David Carradine, and of course Bruce
Yeah.
Lee. Yeah,
Yeah. Those are the guys I grew up on.
yeah. All right, secret talent.
Secret talent. Oh wow. I don't know if I tell it, it wouldn't be a secret anymore. Um, I don't know. I guess maybe I already said the secret is I don't really tell too many. I mean, my ace baths, I like those. I mean, that test takes courage, but I don't have too many secrets. I mean, I just.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better answer. I'm sorry. I'm sort of a dud on that one. I don't really have a lot of secrets.
Well, kind of seeing like how you'd be like a poet, and you got all these
Yeah, I just
poems
do.
or these quotes. Yeah, I could say you're hitting. You could be like a preacher or something. Like really, I could see that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I actually have two poetry books out. One is on Bushido, and then one's uh, black coffee and burnt toast. So it's awkward poetry of a lost monk. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess as part of it is just writing poetry. I read a lot of bad poetry, so you got to spread a lot of manure to get a rose. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Dream celebrity encounter.
Ooh, I guess it would have to be hmm so many of them. Probably I would like to say Morihei Ueshiba of Aikido, founder of Aikido. Him I would like to sit down and just have a long conversation with. Yeah. I'm reading some of his books now, more of the philosophical, the deeper spiritual foundations of Aikido. And yeah, I'd love to sit down with him.
Yeah, yeah, so really it could be like anybody, like an author. So that's
Yeah.
very good. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. So here's the last one. 10 years from now.
Mhm. Who I want to be or what? I just want
Oh,
to be
like
alive.
what you yes, yeah. So really if you were alive in 10 years, how would you see yourself like from there?
Hopefully to be mellower and be hopefully a little bit maybe more awake, if there's such a thing. But again, just to continue this journey. I mean, to me, it's just the everydayness of just being practicing the peace that I've practiced over the years, the Zen meditation, practicing my arts, the qigong, and I don't see myself changing as much as hopefully have a clearer vision of what this life is all about, and hopefully to continue to provide inspiration to people to keep practicing the arts, especially into your 70s, and that it's possible, because by that time, I've been in the arts a long time by then. Long time, yeah. So, but that's about it. Otherwise, my we call it Zen is pretty boring until it's not. So I'll just keep on practicing.
All right. So before we kind of close out, is there any last minute words or wisdom that you like to tell the listeners out there?
Well, just to keep practicing, just as you say, just keep this that attitude of gratitude going. I know that's rather cliche, but it's so important. Gratitude is extremely phenomenal upon your journey, especially when you get injured. Continue to be gratitude. Continue to train, even though you're injured, but in a smart way. You can't practice. You show up to the dojo. Just keep showing up. That's the most important thing. Where even if you just have to watch by the sidelines, leaning on some crutches, show up at the dojo.
Yeah. So thank you very much for joining me on this show, David. So definitely, hopefully,
thank you.
Hopefully you're doing well. Of course, I don't know what the weather is in Washington. I don't know if it's just sunny or raining. So,
It's another rainy day. It'll be in the 80s today, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, of course, I'm here in the hundreds. So,
yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do my little closing to the show. So, for those who are just tuning into this episode, make sure you tune into my previous episodes on the bicbpradio.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And yet, I'll see you next time for another episode here at the Kickpod podcast. And yet, next episode will be 103, and yet it is up and counting. So, yet I'll see you next time here at the Kickpod. And this is yours host, TJ Williams, bowing you out.